Which of the divas on the roster do you think is going to get a push sooner other than Summer Rae? You know, I kind of wish that they would push Naomi more. As we can see right now with their feud with AJ, it seems like Naomi can hang in there with anybody. And Naomi is probably one of the more entertaining wrestlers in the Divas division right now. But unfortunately, like you said, since Paige is coming up after WrestleMania, they're probably going to not want to feature anybody except for her and Summer Rae. So I guess we're screwed right there. Thoughts on Cameron's new song, Bye Bye? It has that disgusting Nicki Minaj sound to it, so I'm never going to listen to that song again in my life. I listened to it once just to see if she was decent, but no. So she should just stay away from music and the ring for that matter. Just completely stay away from everything and just be like a cashier at Walgreens or something. Could you please talk about, shit. This question kind of has me at a loss. Natalya. I always thought Natalya was the far better wrestler from Beth Phoenix, and I don't think anyone really ever saw it until 2011-ish, and even then it was did it really take you guys this long to figure out that she was better than Beth Phoenix? I mean, Natalya is probably one of the best female wrestlers that has ever graced the WWE ring, and it's just a shame that she doesn't make enough of a connection with the fans to be able to be pushed, because it's like I said before, she's the cat lady, so we can't boo her, but she's the cat lady, so we can't cheer her. Candice. God, I remember in 2007, Candice skyrocketed into my number one in my Fave 5 for the Divas, and since then, she's kind of gone a little bit lower, but she's definitely in my top 10 favorite Divas of all time. Maybe even top 5. Once I make a list, I'm going to put that on the other show. So, Candice she was so hot, and she was a decent wrestler. She wasn't the best of the wrestlers, but she was decent. She got over, and my God, I just love Candice. Psycho Mickie. Probably one of the most, if not the most entertaining divas of all time, in one of the best, if not the best, feuds of all time. So, that should just tell you enough about Mickie James. She was one of the best characters ever, and I don't know, just if they were ever to bring it back, I think it would do wonders for the WWE. Jillian Hall, I don't really have much to say about. I mean, the only thing I really remember about Jillian Hall was her singing gimmick and the time the boogeyman ate that thing off her face, so. Stephenie McMahon from the Attitude Era. You know, I don't really have much to say about her. I mean, she was a solid heel. She was that annoying heel for a while until she got that voice thing in 2002. But by then the Attitude Era was over. So she was that annoying heel, and if she wasn't so hot, I don't think it would have worked as well as it did. So I don't really have much to say about Steph. I mean, she was hot back then, but that was just about it. Your opinion on Alicia Fox and her career? She was pretty underrated, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, she has a different style in the ring. She's more unorthodox than other divas, and I think if she was a little bit more of a high flyer, she could really be a nice contender for the championship. But since she's kind of limited, she's kind of like the Kofi Kingston. She's solid, but she's not she doesn't really need to get pushed anymore because she's too good of a jobber. Which diva has the most potential in the WWE and which has the least? The least is probably, I would say Rosa Mendes, but she does have potential. But the reason I would say Rosa Mendes is because she's been there for 5 years and she hasn't really become anything. And she's pretty much the same, wrestler and person now that she was when she was Milena Rocca during that Diva search in 2006. But besides her, I would say Natalya. And the reason that is not necessarily because she doesn't, she's not good, but the dictionary definition of potential is capable of being or becoming, and I think this is about as good as Natalya's going to get. I mean, as a character, she's not going to get any better, And as a wrestler, she's already pretty much as good as it gets, so I don't see a whole lot of potential for her anymore. The most potential I would have said was Kaitlyn or Eva Marie, but now that Kaitlyn's gone, I guess it's just solely on Eva Marie. And all Eva Marie really needs is just hone up your fucking in-ring skills. You're already one of the top heels of the division without wrestling a singles match in your career, so that'll just tell you how high her potential is right now. How would you build a feud with these four divas? Paige, AJ Lee, Kaitlyn, and a returning Mickie James. It's already kind of difficult to book a fatal four-way to begin with, especially with people that don't really have a history with each other. Then you make it a Divas feud where Divas have even less history than most of the men do together. So if Vince McMahon were to come to me right now and tell me to make this feud happen for WrestleMania 30, if it were a tag team feud, I would say you could make the Chickbusters heel. Even though the Chickbusters are just two good faces, you would have to make them heel and have them like pick on Paige. And then Paige could be like the rookie diva that gets a tough time. She has to pay her dues. And then once she gets bullied by the Chickbusters, and then one week she says she finally got some backup, and then she brings out Mickie James, and that could be like a tag team portion. But if you want to build up the Fatal 4-Way, I guess you could build up the tag team storyline I just said first, and then once people start to realize AJ is the Divas champion, there could be animosity building between AJ and Kaitlyn, and then you could have Paige win the championship, and then Paige starts animosity building between between Paige and Mickie James, and then you have a Fatal 4-Way on your hands for the Divas championship. Talk about how important is Kaitlyn to Divas Division. Is Kaitlyn underrated in the ring? Why does Kaitlyn always remind me of Trish Stratus? Do you think Kaitlyn has passed Kelly's name value? If not, will she be able to? There's like 6 different questions here. Let me take one at a time. Okay, let me start with talk about how important Kaitlyn is to the Divas Division. Okay, first let me reformat this, how important Kaitlyn was. Kaitlyn provided depth to the Divas Division, more depth than the Divas have had in a while. And because we've seen that Kaitlyn can be the face of the company, or not the company, but of the Divas Division, and we've seen that she can be used valuably as kind of like a transition feud, where it won't feel like a transition feud. Like, say the Bellas were just waiting for the Karma to come back, and they didn't have anything to do between then, they could feud with Kaitlyn, and they won't make it... Kaitlyn is good enough where they won't have to make it feel like a transitional feud. They could actually make a good feud out of that, just like starting from scratch, while the Bellas wait for Karma. Is Kaitlyn underrated in the ring? Guys, there was no one that shit on Kaitlyn's crappy wrestling when she first started than me. And then once I saw she started to improve, she kind of won me over. Like, I saw she was actually kind of fun. She was a nerd like AJ, so she kind of reminded me of AJ, so I started to like her more. And pretty soon she became my number 2 favorite diva in the WWE. So, in that aspect, I think a lot of people know that Kaitlyn was good in the ring, and that she got better. So, I don't think she's underrated. I think she's rated perfectly in the ring. Like, everyone knows that she's good, so I don't think she's underrated. Why does Kaitlyn always remind me of Trish Stratus? It was probably the hair, the smile, and the tits. And that's not to be one of those pervert faggots, but I'm thinking that those were the 3 kind of things that kind of remind you of Trish. What did you think of Shaniqua, and why was she never traded to Raw to get a little push? You know, to this day, 2004, guys, 10 years ago, I swear to you, I thought that was a man. 10 years later, I'm still not convinced that that was a woman. So you know what? That was like the taMANa of 2003/2004, except, I don't know, I'll go back to watch her matches to see if she was a better wrestler than taMANa, but at the same time, it's like, I'm still convinced that that was a man. Who has the best tits in WWE? I would say Kaitlyn, but now that she's gone, I guess I'll go with, as much as it pains me to say, I guess I'll go with Piggy Fella. Will WWE put laycool ever back together? I hope so. I mean, One of the reasons I really liked Layla back in 2010 and 2011, now that I think about it, was kind of like the attitude that she had. Kind of like why MTO liked Melina so much. It was kind of like why I liked Layla so much in 2011, 2010. Why do you call taMANa LOL? That's so funny. I don't know. Why do you call Daniel Bryan a wrestler? Why do you call a thing with four wheels that drives a car? Why do you call that blue thing up there the sky? It's what you see, isn't it? Same case here. To have a least favorite thing, don't you have to have a favorite thing about her? If there's the least favorite thing I have about her, I mean, just the cheerleading outside the ring when Brie is in a match. She just does not shut up the entire fucking match. And I wonder why. You know what, Cena? I blame you for sticking that cock in her mouth for so long that she doesn't know how to keep her mouth shut long enough. Trish didn't get her push and become a legend. How different was the Divas division? That's a tough one to say. I don't think they would be completely irrelevant right now, even though, I mean, they're pretty irrelevant right now. They're getting some decent time as of late, but aside from that, it's a shade of what it once was. But you know what? Even if Trish didn't get her push, I mean, it's not like Trish was the only one that got the big push back then. I mean, you had Lita, who was getting also a monster push, doing crazy things with the tag teams, with the men, with the Hardy Boys and stuff like that, and then the stuff with Edge that she did later on in her career and stuff like that. So I don't think that it would have fell into obscurity. But I think the whole demographic of, pushing models may not have been as forced by the WWE, because if you look back then, they like to push diva wrestlers a little bit as champions more than the actual models. I mean, you look at divas like Molly Holly, Jazz, Victoria, etc., stuff like that. They push more of them to be champions than the actual models. And I think Trish kind of broke the mold a little bit. I mean, you can make the argument that Sable did it, but I don't think Sable was as important to the mold being broken as Trish was. I don't know. I mean, I look at, great Divas matches that have happened in the past, like Mickie James versus Trish, which was just a regular match. AJ versus Kaitlyn, which was just a regular match. Matches like that. You think about them, and it's like, well, I mean, the best state that the Divas were in, at least in my opinion, was somewhere in 2004, 2005, and 2006, where there was so much depth that they were able to do stuff like gimmick matches and actual Divas matches. So, I mean, the things that stick out more from that time period, though, are the gimmick matches. So if I were to choose just one, I might take the gimmick matches, because those are usually more memorable than the Divas matches, but I wouldn't be opposed to either of them. I do like long Divas matches as well, because it showcases their talent a lot more than 30-second squash matches do. As a women's champion, I don't think she would have been good, but as a Divas champion, she would be better than Kelly. But I don't know. I mean, there was something about her in-ring work that just never got better to me. And, even in 2007, right before she left, she still wasn't that good. She was having sloppy matches with Victoria. And we all know Victoria is a goddess in the ring. So, I don't know if she would have made a great Divas champion. She would have needed that all-star feud to get us so invested into the match that we wouldn't care how good the match is, as long as the feud got its proper send-off. So all in all, I mean, Torrie would have had the potential to be a great Divas champion. I just don't think that she would have been a great Divas champion. Yes, I do see this happening in the future, and I see Emma defeating Paige this time around, squashing her once and for all. Although I don't think it would get the kind of exposure and the same type of build, I do think that this feud will happen down the line. Whether it'll be bigger than it was on NXT remains up in the air, but this is definitely a feud that they will do sometime in the future, and they will definitely play up to their history. Maybe if he would cut off all his hair and become an actual superstar and not pick on the Divas as much would, kind of turn me face on him. But I guess the only thing that would make me like taMANa would be if he retired. And, they kind of make me feel simpy for them. But aside from that, I really can't think of anything that would make me like taMANa. Let's see. Outside of AJ Lee, because I don't think she would get as big of a push as she did in the PG era and the golden era of the Divas, I think Maryse would be even more over than she was in the PG era in the golden era of Divas, because she just had it all. She just, it's hard to explain, but she was just the full package of a diva, of a character, of a heel that you could want in someone. So I think Maryse would have fit the best in the golden era of Divas and would have been even more over then than she was in the PG era. I think Gaomi would stand out more in TNA, She does kind of stand out in WWE a bit, but they have kind of made her, stuck by Cameron's side. I think in TNA she would have been by herself, and her style, her unique style, would have been showcased a lot more. And, since she is a WWE guy, TNA would push her to the moon. So I think Naomi's, in-ring style, her unique style, her, funk, if you will, would be a lot better than TNA. What do you think of Renee Young? I really like Renee Young, There's something about her demeanor, mannerism, and the way that she delivers her lines that just, puts her over as this great interviewer, and she's just so lovable on TV, It's just, I think she's one of the best interviewers the WWE has had in recent memory. And I hope to see her in some kind of a feud with a diva where she'll be this underdog, kind of like what they did with JR back in the day, where, she's getting bullied and she ends up getting like some kind of a pinfall victory over a big diva. That'd be pretty cool. Before I say my answer, I just want to say I do not hate this person for overrated. I just don't understand why she was pushed so hard back then. But Molly Holly, I can understand if they were pushing her just to make Trish and Lita and, other better people, other better divas, look better when they beat her, because she kind of seemed like, she was overrated in the sense that she was so boring. I mean, even after it's Molly Holly, and she was just so boring. I can't even put my finger on what it was that just always made me mad about her winning matches. But even after she got her head shaped by Victoria, you would think she would get interesting, but no, that didn't even work. That didn't even help. I mean, they tried to have her do wigs, which was kind of entertaining. She kind of ran with it, but again, it didn't work. It didn't really work that well, and I never really understood why they had her win the women's championship as many times as they did. Another one that comes to mind is Ivory. I mean, Ivory was never really that good. I mean, her best moments were with Right to Censor, but I mean, she didn't really play a marquee role in that stable. Underrated for me would definitely have to go to Joy Giovanni. I mean, she didn't have a whole lot of matches, and in the matches she did have, it was like, but she could have gotten better, and she proved she could have great feuds. I mean, look at the stuff they did with Big Show, Kerrang, and Gabrielle in early 2005. She proved that she could be in a great feud and hold her own in there and be a prominent role in a great feud. So I think Joy Giovanni was one of the most underrated divas in history. I think their theme songs kind of speak for themselves. Eve's theme song says, "She looks good to me." And damn it, she looks good to me. Ever since I first saw her in the Diva search, I didn't want her to win. I wanted, ironically enough, the runner-up's name was Brooke. I wanted her to win. But I always thought Eve was extremely hot, especially after, she kind of changed in 2008. I don't really remember what it was. I think Triple H alluded to it in a backstage interview one time. But I think that's what kind of got me drawn to her even more. And ever since then, it was just like an admiration for her looks that was only rivaled by a few more divas. So, in my personal opinion, I think I would have to say Eve, even though Brooke has an outstanding bootay. I did not until Empty Hole brought it to my attention, and that just adds fuel to the fire. That makes us think that even more so now that the WWE watches our videos. Is Paige overrated? Yes. Is she bad? No. You know, there have been far worse divas that and slash knockouts than Paige has ever been, but the thing that kind of rubs off the wrong way is that she's still pretty young. She's only, 21 years old, and the internet praises her as if she was a GOAT. That's kind of the thing that gets underneath me and Empty Ho's skin. Now, do I think that the WWE is making her the next John Cena? I mean, I think it's too early to tell right now. I mean, right now they are treating her that way, but if they're still treating her like an underdog, even after she's beaten everyone there is to beat, and she's still struggling to win matches, then yes, but I think it's still a little early to tell. I mean, right now she's only struggling because she's still new, quote-unquote, and she still, has a lot to learn, apparently, from all the divas, but only time will tell. What are your real thoughts on AJ Lee? This might take a little bit, but you know what? I damn well deserve this time to talk about AJ. My AJ. It all started back in 2009. I had completely lost interest in wrestling. I heard some buzz about this diva named AJ Lee down in FCW, that she was doing this great work, and I was like, you know what? If there's one thing that might get me back into wrestling, it's either like this big kind of takeover or something, just to get those top faces out of the WWE right now, because that was a time period where Batista, Cena, and Edge and Triple H were the only ones getting pushed. Or a diva that I can get behind and fall in love with all over again, just like I did with Trish Stratus back in 2003. So I decided to check out this AJ Lee, and oh my god, I immediately fell in love. And, and then at the same time period, it was when Sheamus beat John Cena for the WWE Championship. And, I kind of got back into wrestling. I wasn't fully into it. I saw some stuff of AJ still in FCW, and I saw she was doing good work. I was like, man, if she ever made it up to the main roster, it would be awesome. And then NXT Season 3 started, and I saw AJ was a rookie, and of course, who else am I going to pull behind? And this was one of the reasons why, if any of you watched some of my old videos, it looked like I hated Kaitlyn. I didn't really hate Kaitlyn, I just hated that she won NXT over AJ, and that just made me so mad. But, again, that's beside the point. It literally got to a point at some point in 2011 and 2012 where it was like infatuation written all over again for me. Because AJ got me to get behind her even more than Trish ever did. Even more than any other diva did. I mean, I think you can combine every other diva that I've loved since I started watching wrestling, and they still didn't get me as behind them as AJ did. And then slowly but surely, I saw that the internet was starting to love her and overrate her, and then, they turned heel on her in 2012, and then they started loving her again in 2013, so I've kind of seen it all with AJ. I even met AJ, guys, and believe it or not, I was kind of starstruck. I didn't get to say a whole lot. I just showed her the 2 shirts that I have of her. She did love them. She did say, oh my god, that's so cool. And, the main thing was when I called her at SummerSlam Access, I was like, hey, AJ, and, she kind of just laughed off that I couldn't say anything, and she said hi to me. It was one of those things where everything just came into fruition. So I gotta say, AJ Lee, when it's all said and done, I think I will rank her as my favorite diva of all time.